All right. Now, I want to get something clear here. So we were going to do this at 8:30, assuming my internet was working, right? And then, because y'all didn't know that my internet was messed up yesterday, but it was, and it shut down the G-Pit show. And then I called, and they were like, so we have an outage. So I think okay. If your internet is fucked up, they need to tell you it's messed up before you start freaking out and trying to figure out what you've done wrong, right? I mean, why don't they just tell you? Why don't they send you a message on your phone or at the house or on email that says, hey, there's a problem? That's the problem with your internet. Don't be freaking out about what the fuck it is.
Maybe they would have called if your internet was working. Or maybe they would have texted you or emailed you if your internet was working.
Maybe they would have. See? So then I spend like an hour trying to figure out what I've done wrong. Nothing happened. And then I call and they go, oh, yeah, there's an outage in your area. I'm like, what? All right. So since the internet was working, we were going to do the show at 8:30. I said it about, what was that, B-Matt? 8:15 maybe? 8?
I think.
7:48. No, that's not true. 8:15. I text Bryan and Bennie. I say, I'm going to need 8:40. Now, Bryan did not interpret that as I need $840. He interpreted that as we're going to start the show at 8:40 instead of 8:30, right? Is that what you thought it was, B-Matt?
Yes.
It was.
Oh, yeah, it sounds like B-Matt's taking sides already.
At 8:39, I get a text from Ben, is this still happening? So since we're 1 minute short of the start time, the still happening thing, it gets me a little bit rustled.
Yeah, just a little.
They're a little rustled. And then Brian's like, yeah, of course it's going to happen at 8:40. And then we get on at 8:40. And then Ben's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, I didn't receive that message. I really have no idea why. That's just odd to me.
I'm surprised myself.
But Bryan saying that it was some sort of iCloud situation.
Yeah,
I'm just throwing out theories. I mean, I have no proof.
It's not my end. It's not BMAT's end because everything's fine on our end. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I'm just telling you.
What? Okay, all right. You just tell them.
I'm just letting you know I never received the 8:40 message, but we're all here.
Everything's good, Benny. I tell you what. So we had the bunker lunch yesterday, and everybody really appreciated you going, Ben. That was really cool of you to show up, man. Brian's like, oh god, here we go.
Did you go, Bryan?
What?
No, Bryan had stuff.
No.
Bryan was on assignment. Okay. So was Jeffrey Lee.
Okay.
But I thought you were going to come, Ben. I don't know, whatever.
Well, look, I mean, I do regret it now that I've talked to some people who were there and sounded like they would have liked me to go.
Yeah. There's a bunch of people, upwards of 6. I would have really missed you being there. I'm going to give every single one of them a shout out. But I guess you won't get one, Benny.
Okay.
Are you on? I'm just curious. Are you on hardline or Wi-Fi?
I'm on Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Is it bad right now?
I'm on a very hard line.
Well, ever since Bryan went to hardline, he looks like he's on a TV show, which is great.
Okay.
Handsome as always.
It's like
I
real
don't
life,
have my.
you know what I'm saying?
I don't have my hardline adapter. I'm gonna have to go get a hardline adapter. I have an adapter. Here, this one.
Here.
Is an adapter, and it doesn't have the hardline thing. It has a HDMI. I've got to go get one with a hardline, like a Ethernet.
Well, you can do that, or you can. Yeah, you can do that. Is it the one that has USB-C on it?
This one does have USB-C.
Okay. See, I use one that's just USB-C. All it is just Ethernet, like just one little box. Would you like for me to get you one of those, Benny?
No, I can go get one because I want to get a better one of these adapters. But the issue is I assumed that I'd be able to plug in a USB-C Ethernet cord into this adapter, and it doesn't work that way.
All right, here's the thing. Okay, we've been doing the show for Bryan and I have been doing the show for 300 episodes. We've been doing the web show for 3 weeks, Benny, and I'm like, Benny, I need you to be on the hard line, bro. And you're not quite there yet. Yeah, you're not quite there yet.
Okay.
And I really, really want you to be there, man. I want you to be the guy who's on the hard line.
I'll get on the hard line for whenever the next show is. For the record, I had a hard line.
Yes.
For other shows. we haven't had an issue with my hard line for the video show.
Uh-huh.
And I think there have been some issues on everyone's ends on the video shows as we've been adapting to the process.
I don't know anything about that, okay? I just know about Bryan has the hard line, and Bryan is the least technological savvy person on this call.
Bryan, when did you get this hard line?
Don't even answer that, Bryan. He got it. He has it right now, okay? That's all that we need.
Because I could have sworn I witnessed an exchange of a hard line sometime this week.
No, that didn't happen because Bryan said, I don't need it. I have one. Is that what you said, B-Matt?
That actually is true.
I have right here, I have some cat head that I may need to just go ahead and drink.
I may get on the hotline. Fuck the hard line. Are we live right now? My bad, guys or gals.
I'm just taking a swig of this right now.
All right, this is gonna be a hell of a show.
Just getting started.
Do I need to put something extra in my coffee this morning? Right?
I hope you already had it in there.
A little coffee liqueur.
Benny, I want you to know that we love you. Okay.
I love you guys.
I'm
and
here.
Everybody.
I'm here to help you be better. You've been great. You're so good, and you're going to be so much better when you get older. I'm glad to be a part of it. I'm glad to know you when you're young and just merely very good, and you'll be great. Bryan, what are you doing, man? What?
I'm just enjoying these inspirational words.
Yeah, that was inspirational.
Yeah,
That was
Benny.
among the more inspirational things you said to me this morning. Probably the most inspirational stuff.
I'm going to take 10 seconds right now, and I'm going to think about someone who I really want to inspire and just think about how great this person can be. All right, here we go. 10 seconds.
Rice. Try inspire.
I wonder what
Rice.
I can do in 10 seconds. Hold my beer.
Shut up while I'm doing this. Okay.
What the hell are we going to talk about today?
All right.
Are we done?
All right. Thanks, guys. It's been real.
Oh, yeah.
Love you guys. Of course, we have things to talk about. The bunker lunch, which somebody attended. I did. Bryan wasn't supposed to, so it's just pretty much Benny is what I'm talking to there. Auburn defeats Arkansas the other night. At one point, that game was 22-1. You guys may remember since Benny was there and Bryan was there and I was there too. So we can talk about that. We can talk about Samir. Was still provided his regular level of production, which is not much from the bench. And then Malik was pretty good, I thought. I thought he was an upgrade, even though his stats were not like world changing. But I think he's better than Samir, my opinion. You guys will have an opportunity to either agree with that or disagree with that. It's fine. Auburn at Kentucky this weekend. That's a showdown on CBS. I know Bryan thinks Auburn's going to win by 20, which I think is a little bit of a wild projection, but,
18, bro.
18, I'm sorry. And then, Benny, I know there's going to be some recruiting going on this weekend.
Yeah, like 15 to 20 guys probably.
How many of those are, like, Wolves?
The hope is that this weekend is really emphasizing quality and next weekend is more about quantity. So they'll have, 15 or so guys this weekend that they hope are good. And then next weekend will be more of your just standard junior day where anybody that wants to come can come.
All right. Well, my daughter's a junior. I guess she could come.
Yeah.
Why not?
There's a open quarterback competition.
Nah, I don't think she's a quarterback. What anything else y'all want to talk about?
Baseball.
Oh, hell yeah. They're on a business trip, Bryan.
They are.
They beat Alabama A&M the other day like a drum, right?
Big in-state rivalry right there. Big win.
I mean, they're bulldogs. They're like rabid. They bite.
Did you have any additional Alan Green commentary?
Not that I can share, really. I can go back through it, though.
Talked about it on Wednesday.
I can go back through it a little bit, though, because I don't think the bunker likes him by and large, and I think he's on the right track. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. And we could talk a little bit about softball, I guess. We're playing this weekend at home. So there you go. And then we could talk about the lunch in depth if you would like to, Benny.
Yeah, absolutely.
What can you give me a preview of what you'd like to talk about for the bunker lunch?
Yeah, I wish that I would have had other people other than you talking to me on Wednesday night about this lunch. If I'd been talking to Harvey Specter on Wednesday night about this lunch, I probably would have ended up at the lunch. But instead, I talked to you, and I was like,
It's a long way to go. and I did it, but
I for one regret my decision, no doubt.
oh, also this doesn't really matter to y'all, but the dorm at my school, it's called Forer Hall, which is at Trancey. That's like where the girls live, so that's where Courtney lived. Well, at least for a while. That is being torn down right now. They're doing like live updates on the, like pretending like people give a shit about it. I mean, I do, but I don't really need to see it live or whatever. And I feel like with that dorm going down, that means all the dumb shit I did in there is now expunged from the record. Is that fair?
I mean,
I think that's fair.
but
I think it's fair.
right? I mean, something's going to be there.
Yeah, but I haven't been in it. If I've not been in the building, then how could I have done anything wrong in it? Right? I mean, I think this is a defensible position. So
Were you not allowed in the building?
no, I mean, I was allowed in. I was supposed to be out by 2, I think, and I saw that more as a guideline than a rule.
That's how Brumby Hall at Georgia was.
Are you trying to run for office or something? I mean, do you want to be on the Supreme Court? Is that what this is about?
I don't think I'm going to make it.
Okay.
No, I don't think so. But I just, I had some trials in Forer Hall, trying to negotiate certain things, and I missed on a few, and I hit a couple, and just the ones that I missed. If Forer Hall's down, it's like they're not even losses anymore. Ben, your thoughts? Okay, let me go back. Benny, have you ever missed in a sorority in a dorm for girls?
Have I ever, excuse me?
Like tried to close and failed?
No. I mean, I think that if I was by the point where I was at the girls' dorm, I probably have already passed that point.
Oh.
Like I missed while I'm out in public.
Oh.
But I mean, times might have been different, I mean, in Athens, like I was out at the bar, we would go to the bar, we would leave the bar, or you'd go back to a dorm. Yeah. When you get back to the dorm, I mean, the process is pretty much
I see what completed. Well, I went to a much different school. I mean, you went to a huge ass,
Like our Brumby Hall, that sounds like the equivalent of this, was like 800 people in one facility.
Yeah. I mean, my whole school was like 1,000, so probably wasn't quite 800. But the girls' dorm, I mean, everything kind of went on in the girls' dorm at my school. So you had like the cafeteria was there, the mailboxes were there, the like social areas where you'd watch TV, those were there. So there's a lot going on there. So you could do the macking and the closing all in one spot, which is good, I think. Unless you're trying to go home with a skanky one, and then it's not as good, or it potentially anyway. But see, I think Bryan, you got hooked in with Yvonne real young, right?
1988.
God, I didn't need years. I need like in college, like it was what, your first year?
She was a freshman and I was third year.
So you had your freshman and sophomore year to do dumb shit.
Yes, I had a good time. Yes.
All right, gotcha. And then Benny's only like 20 now, so obviously you met your girl pretty young.
Yeah, I mean, my girlfriend is three or 4 years older than me, and she was born the year that Bryan and Yvonne met. So
see, Bryan, that kind of disrespect. I mean, Benny, seriously, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Disrespect. I respect my elders. I meant it with the utmost respect.
Unbelievable. Bryan, this is to you, my man. I'm sorry that he's doing this one.
Wow. Well, Bryan,
sorry.
I want you to know I was saying it as, like
I didn't take it.
I can only imagine to know the things that Bryan knows in this world because, I mean, look at me. I'm just a young pup.
Just a young pup. Yep, that's right.
I'm going to go ahead and start this show. The actual podcast, and we'll just figure this out as we go. How's that sound?
Good.
Bryan, I'll tell you what. You know how it sounds to me? It sounds like Bryan sounds terrific because he's on a hard line, and then Ben's on Wi-Fi, and it's kind of choppy. But we're going to do the best we can.
I don't know when you're planning on having me on another video podcast, but I will have a hard line. I'll have a hard line before I go to Bruce Pearl's press conference today. I
was going to say we're going to do the next show like 20 minutes after this one. So can you make it by then?
I probably won't be able to make that.
All right, here we go, fellas. Hi-yo! Hello again, and welcome to the AuburnSports.com rundown presented by Voodoo Wing Company. This right here, this very show, the one you're listening to right now, is your favorite podcast for all things Auburn. Today is February 22, I think. Yes, in the year of 2019. This is episode number 371 of this fine show. Almost all of those, Brian Matthews has been with me. Not as many for the other guy. And we are currently, one day away from Auburn's encounter with the hated UK Wildcats inside Rupp Arena, 12:30 Central Time on CBS Saturday. That should be a good duel, as the kids say. My name is Jay Tate. I am publisher of AuburnSports.com, and I'm joined as always by Mr. Brian Matthews, the aforementioned, capital B, capital M, a man who is quite the badass, and also once raised a lot of hell at Auburn University. B-Matt, you're a doer of many things, and welcome.
Back in the 80s. Yep. That was a good time.
Yes, back in the 80s.
A lot less rules and restrictions back then.
I would say so, yeah. And, you know, the 80s.
My first year at Auburn, they had open band parties. Meaning fraternities would host the parties with open kegs. You just walk up and fill up your cup.
Yeah, can you guys sort of let me know a little bit how the 80s, because I always hear that, how different the 80s were. Like, you know what was better?
This kind of disrespect, Brian. I'm seriously. Come on, Ben. Really. Come on, man. Don't do that.
Disrespect?
Yes.
I wasn't even alive in the 80s. I'm jealous.
The 80s were fun, Brian. Brian was he was able to be in college, and I'm not selling you out, Brian, but you were able to be in college in the 80s, and that was a good time to be in college, I think.
It was. Big hair. Short shorts, sometimes.
Sometimes. I was in high school in the 80s.
My dad was a big short shorts guy growing up.
Oh. Well, he's a little older, though, right?
Yeah, like older. But, yeah, he was I had to talk him out of that one in my adolescence.
The shorts music. Are getting short again.
Very good music.
Music.
What music did he listen to, Bennie?
He was like he's from Southern California, so it was like Eagles, Beach Boys. It's same kind of stuff I listen to, really.
You listen to the Eagles?
Yeah, I mean, I would say those are my two CDs in my car that I listen to the most are Beatles and Beach Boys, which I told you right there. I listen to CDs in my car.
There you go.
Wow, that is old school. We're also joined by Mr. Ben Wolk. Last name is pronounced Wolk. He was born in, I'm assuming you were born in Georgia.
I was not. I was born in Missouri, Springfield, Missouri.
You grew up in Georgia?
Yeah, I did.
Springfield, Missouri, home to another celebrity, Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt. Payne Stewart as well.
Is from Springfield, Missouri. Indeed. Okay, before we get started, I want to remind everyone, including you two, that our show here is presented by Voodoo Wing Company. It's a great place to eat, and you guys know that, the two of you, because you eat there somewhat frequently and you enjoy it. Brian and I talked on the show the other day about how much we enjoyed it, but Ben, Brian and I also enjoyed watching you vicariously. We enjoyed watching you gobble down those boneless wings the other day at Voodoo Wing Company. Just tell us how delicious they were.
I mean, those Cajun Ranch boneless wings are among the best wings they have at Voodoo Wings, but they are without a doubt the best wings in all of Auburn. I would say all of Alabama. I would consider saying all of the Southeast in the United States as well. Some of the best wings that I have ever had in my life. The Cajun Ranch wings in particular are especially good, though, as you guys know, I like to switch it up because they have so many delicious flavors. I don't want to just stick with just one on a week-to-week basis.
I'll remind you that they were recently voted the best wings in Vegas, so their reach actually extends beyond the Southeast.
Wow. Yes, that's on me.
I know you haven't been out to Vegas lately. Brian and I got back not too long ago, so we had some intel that maybe you didn't have, but they are tremendous. And the wings that you enjoy in Auburn are the same ones you have in Las Vegas. They're that delicious. They translate to Nevadian. Did you know that?
I did not know that, but I did know that the wings were perfect.
Absolutely. Also, the fries we believe are delicious. I know that you're a fried pickle enthusiast. You think they're delicious. And, of course, Brian can finish it off with the nanner pudding. I prefer the key lime, but there's a lot of choices there when you go to Voodoo Wing Company. Everything's delicious. Everything's hot, piping hot, scalding hot, as some would say. You might want to let it cool off just a minute because it comes out that hot. The service is incredible. Marge is really good at what she does. I'll just leave it at that. And you need to be there. If you haven't been there, you need to go. Voodoo Wing Company on College Street, 0.3 of a mile north of the interstate, just north of where the Supper Club once stood, which is where Jeffrey Lee was once deposited in a trash can, and he damn well deserved it. Moving on to Auburn events. We have not had a chance to debrief, so to speak, after Auburn's crushing win against the hated Arkansas Razorbacks, 79-56, although at one time we thought it was 80-56. but the official score sheet says 79-56. Brian, remember there was a moment there we weren't 100% sure on that. Your thoughts from that game?
Auburn looked like it did last year for really the first time in SEC play. I mean, last year they jumped on a lot of teams early, and that was the first time Auburn's been able to really do that in conference play. And I was just impressed. I liked Malik Dunbar. All 8 of his points came in the first 4.5 minutes or so. So I think he really helped spark that big 22-1 run there. So I just was really impressed with the way they played. They looked like the Auburn of old.
Yeah, that's a good thing for Bruce Pearl because, they kind of come and go a little bit. Sometimes they play like the Auburn of old, and sometimes they play like the Auburn of not so good. But, man, they were on the other night. 22-1 was the score early on. And at some point, I think it was, 42-14? Looked like a Tubbs era, game at Arkansas. Sans Ben Leard. Benny, your view of that game from the court, which is where you were shooting.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Bryan. It reminded me a lot. I mean, different type of game in some regards, but it reminded me a lot last year of the LSU win at home where they just dominated them early. And when you look up at the score, all of a sudden it's like they don't even have a chance at a second half comeback. I mean, I wasn't going to completely rule out some kind of run, but I mean, once it got to, I think it was 39-9 at one point, maybe. Once it got to 30 points, midway there through the first half, you could just tell Auburn was, they were different. They haven't had many games this year where they've pieced just about everything together. They really did that. I mean, I think, like Bryan said, I think that Malik is a good spark to start the game rather than just being a mid-game spark coming off the bench where they might be trailing by 8-10 at that point. I mean, if you look, I think he ended up playing 21 minutes and Samir played 21, or I think he played 22 and Samir played 21. Yeah. So the minutes were pretty even, but I think that where each of them were getting their minutes was probably better for the team.
Well, they're both getting their minutes on the court, right?
Well, I mean more that Malik was getting his minutes to start off the game, so they got that spark to start. I said it on Tuesday that I felt that, when we recorded a really good podcast on Tuesday, so our Platinum members already got to hear this, but that I feel like Samir, it might serve him better not to be in that first group where he comes off the bench and he can maybe feel like he's a little bit more of a first option, so to speak, in that second group. I mean, that didn't totally happen, and I know he turned the ball over way more than he should have in 21 minutes, but, I think it might be a better situation for him too coming off the bench.
Yeah. I mean, I thought that Malik was best coming off the bench, but when you see the way he played the other night, he definitely has the ability. Because I thought early on in the season when he was coming off the bench, he was very foul prone. He was taking a lot of risky moves on defense and getting called for basically reaching a lot. But he has shown these last 2 games, one of them as a starter, that he can kind of modify that and still defend well without being risky. And I think the other night he only had 2 fouls. And the night before, he played a whole bunch of minutes, and he only had 2 fouls. So he definitely has the ability to defend without getting into foul trouble. And I think to me, that was the big limiting factor. And so now he's shown to me that he's definitely a starter. And I would imagine he's going to hold on to this spot moving forward, Bryan. I mean, if he brings the same kind of passion and performance that he showed against Arkansas, I think it's a no-brainer.
I do too. Bruce wasn't ready to say that after the game, but I think it is. You've got to start him now. He played really well. You've liked production out of that 3 position. And I'm going to make a bold prediction right now. Auburn goes to Kentucky and comes home with a big road victory. I feel like this team is primed and ready to go. Kentucky is without Reed Travis, one of their big men who really played well against Auburn in the first game back in January. And I just think Auburn is ready to make a little run here.
Ben, are you going to predict that too?
I don't know if I'm willing to predict one way or another. I respect the hell out of that prediction, though. And I don't think, with Reed Travis you take Reed Travis out of that first game. I get that it was in Auburn Arena versus going to Rupp, but, Reed Travis was the difference maker in that game. You got good production out of Tyler Hero. You got good production out of P.J. Washington. I feel like that's been pretty standard. That was really when Reed Travis started to come on this season. I think him going out, you've seen Auburn have to deal with guys coming in and out of the lineup and how that affects your rotations and everything. Kentucky's going to have to deal with some of that on Saturday as well. I don't know if I can just say that I think Auburn's going to go get a road win when their only 2 this season have been at Texas A&M and Vanderbilt.
Yeah, and playing in Rupp Arena has not been particularly hospitable to Auburn. Those trips have not been good in the recent past, Brian Matthews.
Yeah, I think – I don't know if it's the last time Auburn won, but I think John Kaler's shot way back in the 80s was one of the few times Auburn's ever won there.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time they won in Rupp.
I think that was at Rupp. That may not have been at Rupp, but But Auburn has not had very much success there.
Yeah, I think Rupp opened in 77. I feel like Auburn won in Rupp like at some point, but I don't know. I should have looked that up before the show, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
Anyway, Auburn's been playing better basketball, really. I mean, if you think about it, beat Vandy on the road. Arkansas, they crushed them the other night.
It was 1988, and it was at Kentucky.
Okay, that was definitely Rupp era, no doubt. Auburn's wins in the SEC so far, though. Georgia and A&M, both of them are poor. Missouri, not very good. Alabama's not very good. Florida's decent. They've been better lately. And then Vanderbilt and Arkansas. So Auburn hasn't really beaten what I would consider to be an upper division SEC team aside from Florida. And Florida's right there with Auburn probably. So, yeah, beating Kentucky would be absolutely massive. Because this team technically, I mean, the way I look at it right now, B-Matt, I feel like this team's on the NCAA bubble. Because they still got to play Tennessee, which is going to be a monumental challenge. I mean, important wins are going to be hard to come by. If they were able to pull this one off, I think that would solidify their NCAA tournament situation.
Yes, and I think the biggest thing for Auburn is getting out of that 8-9 spot. You just don't want to be there because that puts against a 1 in the second round, and that really makes it difficult. And if they could just move up to a 5 seed, it makes so much difference and would improve their chances dramatically to advance past into the Sweet 16.
Geez, a 5 seed. They'd have to beat Kentucky, Tennessee, and then win probably 2 in Nashville, something like that.
I don't know. It's hard to. I don't know if they have to beat Kentucky above Tennessee, but they need to make a little run here. I mean, they got a string of good games here, quality road games, quality home games that they can make a run here, and I think make that move up.
Well, they got to win 3 out of 5. I mean, you got Kentucky and Tennessee are going to be tough, but then you've got Georgia away. But Georgia, come on, man, they're not very good.
That should be a win.
This should be a win. Mississippi State at home. The Bulldogs
should be a win.
They're pretty good. But you'd think at Auburn Arena, Auburn's generally pretty good there.
And then Alabama on the road, that's we'll see. But that's another game that they could win. They're a better team than Alabama this year. They usually just don't play well enough up there to win.
Yeah, right.
So we'll see.
Coleman, man.
But if Auburn can beat Kentucky now, they could reel off 4-5 straight wins, including the Arkansas win.
That would definitely.
And I also think with their schedule the way they have, I mean, if they beat Georgia, they beat Mississippi State, the other 3, every single win helps your resume, but it doesn't really hurt your resume that much.
Yeah.
Losing to any of those 3 teams. So I mean, I feel like they're closer to a 5-6 spot than they are to getting to that, like, falling out of the bubble or anything like that. Like, I don't really see that as much of a reality unless they were to lose one of those Mississippi or Georgia games.
Yeah, it could happen. You never know. Currently in the KenPom.com rankings, which is what I really care about, Auburn is 14th. So they'd have to do a lot of losing to get knocked out of the NCAA tournament picture. But I mean, weird things happen sometimes. Auburn is 18-8 right now, 7-6 in league play, and Kentucky. They've been pretty good. They've won They've won 12 of the last 13, and their one loss was to LSU in a odd game, kind of an odd game at the end there.
Smashed Tennessee, and I thought that, and I think that was in Rupp Arena, so they do play well there. I'm going out on a big limb.
All right, that is the official pick. I was going to get into that officially, talking about this game, but we've already done that. Auburn at UK again, 12:30 Central Time on CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting Service, and you'll be watching that. I know Brian will, I will. We're not going to Rupp this time. Long way to go. We're going to hold back and I don't know, worry about some other stuff. Recruiting this weekend, Mr. Ben Wolk is here to tell us just kind of an overview of the fellas that are coming. You said in the pre-show, Benny, among many other things that you were saying, some of them that were rude to me and Brian about our age, that you felt like this weekend Auburn was going to be emphasizing quality over quantity as far as recruiting goes. Tell me about that.
Yeah, well, all these guys that are in the 2020 class, they were born around 2002 or 2003. So it's just a fun fact. You didn't respond as well to that. I think that's a terrible joke because I thought you might have.
You've been kicking us in the teeth for the last 20 minutes, so yeah.
I do find it crazy that like these kids that are now getting recruited to come to Auburn were born like after 9/11. Like they were 2002, 2003 guys. Like that's just insane to me. I know that doesn't matter to anybody. So they'll have 15 to 20 guys this weekend. They're going to have guys this weekend and next weekend. Elite this weekend. I think you'll see elite juniors and some elite 2021 guys as well. I mean, the emphasis this weekend is certainly going to be on quality, trying to get 15 to 20 guys that Auburn really, really wants up there this weekend. I put in a little note on the board yesterday, but one name to watch that I think, obviously is of interest because of his position, but also because Auburn feels like they're in a pretty good spot. Trey Zimmerman, he's an offensive tackle from Roswell High School. I think that Auburn probably is in better position than anyone else right now, and I know that Auburn would like him to get on board sooner rather than later. I don't know if that means that it would be this weekend necessarily, but if they were able to sometime in the near future, have Jonathan Buskey, have Avery Jernigan, and then get Trey Zimmerman in this class as well, all before March, or, if he were to even decide in March, that would be a pretty good way to start your offensive line. I mean, I know that myself included, we were kind of dogging on Gus a little bit when he was talking about, oh, we're going to have the best 2020 off, our 2020 offensive line class is going to be our best line class ever, but they're actually backing it up with some words. I know they haven't hit on this elite prospect like some people would like, but I think that Avery Jernigan's stock is going to rise a lot this year. I think that Trey Zimmerman's stock is going to rise a lot this year as well. I think that Jonathan Buskey, I don't even think Auburn totally knows what it has in him yet. I just think they know that they've got a 6'7", 330-pound athlete out of JUCO, and that's intriguing, even if you're maybe not totally certain on what you've got. But outside of Trey Zimmerman, JJ Evans is a wide receiver from Montevallo that's either going to come this weekend or next weekend. I think that Auburn is not necessarily trying to get any commitments this weekend. They're just trying to build these relationships with some of these young guys. If you get a commitment, that's good news.
I really like what Auburn's doing on the offensive line. I think if you look back the past few years with their struggles, they've shot for the moon. They haven't trusted their own evaluations, and they've really missed out on a lot of their top targets. And they're doing the opposite this time. They're trusting their evaluations. Avery Jernigan was a great evaluation. They got him in early, got him committed. If you look at Trey Zimmerman's film, to me, it looks like a great evaluation. He looks like a player that could be higher than a 3-star. And then if you really want to be blown away, go look at Marlon Martinez in his film. Now, I'm not sure how high Auburn is on his list right now, but I know he's a top target. And I just like what Auburn is doing. Get some of these guys that maybe are a little undervalued right now from a recruiting standpoint, and then you could start, shooting for the moon for some other guys. But get that foundation of a class, good, solid players, guys that may end up being 4 and 5 stars. I think Avery Jernigan will definitely be a 4-star. And then for those last couple of spots, then you can shoot for the moon.
Well, it's common knowledge on the bunker that J.B. Grimes is a terrible recruiter, probably a terrible coach, and they're not going to be able to get any offensive linemen. But you're sounding guys like maybe they will get some offensive linemen, right?
I think Brian's exactly right. They're taking the right approach. I mean, if you look at this time last year, if they'd taken this same approach with Charles Cross, they might end up with a 5-star offensive lineman in their class. And there are examples of this the year before that as well. So, I mean, they have certainly tried to go top heavy with offensive linemen. And now you look at the number situation and it's not good. They feel like they need to take 6 or 7 linemen in this class just to feel like you have the right numbers on your depth chart. Taking guys early is the way to go, especially if you trust your evaluations. I don't know why it's so hard for people to trust their evaluations.
Oh, well, I mean, it's the same thing you're facing in baseball, professional baseball, where you're out scouting kids. You're like, I don't know, does this guy have the kind of projectability I want at starting pitcher? Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. I mean, you have second guessing. It happens. I do
no
say,
doubt.
Ben, you mentioned that, and I know Bryan lustily agrees because he brought up Cross so many times, and it's a valid point. I mean, do you think someone sat down with, you want to talk to me about it, and JB and said, look, guys, seriously, what you've been doing is not working, just stringing guys along. You need to start going out there, and if you like a kid, go get him now and stop playing around. You think someone gave them a reset?
I don't know I know people like to make fun of Gus and act like he's clueless sometimes, but I think Gus is aware when he messes up on things, and I think he's aware when he takes the wrong approach, and sometimes he's maybe a little too stubborn in terms of reacting to that. But I think you didn't need to tell Gus Malzahn, hey, your offensive line numbers are not where they need to be. I mean, I think that
we did though.
Well, that's true. Brian kind of did do that. As I was saying that, I was like, actually, Brian basically did that. Yeah. And Gus was kind of like, oh, I think I'm all right. But I think that when he was standing up there, after signing day, and people are asking him, hey, what do you need to do better in the 2020 class? It didn't take a rocket scientist to look up and say, we got to recruit more offensive linemen. I mean, everybody's been saying it for 3 years now. So I would have been more, impressed if Gus didn't say that and was just like, oh, we're just going to keep doing what we're doing. Because it's like, no, it's very obvious that you need more offensive linemen. So I don't know if anyone had to say it to him. It's just like, come on, it's pretty common sense.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, on the offensive line tip, I think someone did say something to him. But I think that Alan Green sat down with Gus in the aftermath of that. I guess you call it a coup attempt. The stuff that was going on in the immediate aftermath of the Iron Bowl when those people were trying to get him fired and all that. And I think Alan was like, dude, you're going to have to recruit better. I mean, period. You've got to recruit better. And I feel like Gus's eyes are open on that. And so I think part of it, Benny, is what you're saying. You go out and you get the kids you like and stop pussyfooting around. Two, I feel like they've upgraded at both of these changes that they've made as far as recruiting goes. So Tim Horton out, Cadillac in. And I know Tim has been a good recruiter in the past, but I feel like Cadillac has a higher ceiling. And then you trade out Greg Brown for Crime Dog, and I think that's an upgrade on the recruiting trail as well. So, to that end, I think they are going to be recruiting better. They've got a lot of good recruiters now.
And we'll see what Dillingham can do, too. He's a young guy, a lot of energy. He may be a real boost for some of those offensive positions that Auburn's lacked, like running back and offensive line.
Yeah. I talked to him the other day at the complex, and, man, he has a lot of energy. That was my first time really talking to him, like, for real. I think he's kind of fired up. Or he likes to eat a lot of sugar. I don't know which one it is. The cool thing about Dillingham, if I'm Dillingham, and I think he gets a little touchy about his age, but he can kind of –
bring it up.
I'm not going to. But don't start, Ben. I think Dillingham can eat –
I didn't know getting touchy about your age. I mean, some –
You think that's pot calling the kettle black? He can sneak in and out of places, and people don't even recognize him because he just looks like a college student, kind of. I mean, just being real about it.
He really does just look like a regular guy.
Yeah, but he ain't regular. He's pretty good now. I mean, he knows offense. Old Gus Malzahn. All right, we're going to finish that off. Recruiting this weekend. Jeffrey Lee going to lock that down as usual, and we'll let you guys know what the significant developments are from that series of visits that go on this weekend. Also, Auburn Tigers baseball, something that Brian Matthews is very attuned to. Went to cover the Alabama A&M games the other day when you didn't have to, but you just have passion. You have passion for the job, and I commend you for that. It was cold and rainy, and you were there. You don't care. You don't care about weather. You're there for the beat. Tell me what this team looks like. I know there's some people out there that are like scratching their head a little bit and saying, man, they kind of barely got by Georgia Southern. What have you learned through 5 games about this team?
Well, one thing we learned definitely is this staff, like we thought it was deep and talented. I'm not sure they faced a great lineup. Georgia Southern was pretty good, but they showed they're going to compete and they're going to be good. This pitching staff, even with Davis Daniels sidelined for a few weeks, whatever it's going to be with a sore forearm, I think this pitching staff is going to put up some really good numbers, including going down to UCF. And then, hitting wise, I think Auburn's only batting around 273 as a team or something like that. But there's just some guys that just haven't got going yet. Stephen Williams is one of the best hitters in the SEC. He's got a beautiful swing and stroke from the left-hand side. He's going to get it going. He's not going to bat below 200 this season. In fact, I think he's probably going to bat close to 350 or so with a lot of doubles and home runs. So just some guys. Will Holland hasn't quite got it going yet either. Connor Davis needs to get it going. So some of the big experienced sticks in Auburn's lineup just haven't been swinging it so far, but they may turn it loose this weekend at UCF.
I do want to mention for those of y'all watching this show in the bunker, Harbab 20 says looks like Ben quote woke up for the rundown this morning. Very very clever, very clever dig there. Ben may have missed the show. And, God, who was it that put up Auburn Tim took a screenshot of the show the other day.
Oh, that was beautiful.
Where Ben wasn't there, and it said,
that was beautiful.
Gone napping in Ben's spot.
That's an official shout-out from me, by the way, Auburn Tim.
Yeah.
That was gorgeous.
I would also like to shout that out as well.
He also put a picture right up here of Alan Green. Like Alan Green was there or something. It was pretty funny. I don't know. I guess they're trying to say I'm jocking Alan or whatever. I don't know.
Jeffrey, looks like Jeffrey has put up a recruiting story while we've been up here, by the way.
Hey, now.
On a junior college linebacker. Either of you know anything about this guy?
Of course.
Tyrus Wheat, received an offer from Auburn earlier this week. You guys probably saw it, of the many guys that have been tweeting out offers.
Yeah, a lot of those.
This week, 6'2", 235 from Colin in Mississippi.
What about Avery Jernigan, a 325 power clean?
Yeah, I just saw that. Did you watch the video?
Yes.
And he gets stoked at the end of it. Like his like the athleticism on that guy.
Yeah.
Impressive.
I'm telling you, he may start as a true freshman at guard for Auburn.
My
Seriously.
God. You guys are getting carried away.
Nope. He's good. He's a good player.
So Auburn's going to need an impact starter on the offense, interior offensive lineman at the start, right at the beginning of 2020.
Yeah, they're going to need more than one, honestly. Yeah. That's how Bryan and I see it. That's how Bryan and I presented it to the head coach, but I don't know as though he agreed, Bryan. No, I like what we got.
That is funny that I was sitting there trying to say that Gus knew and didn't need anyone to tell him, and then it clicked with me that Bryan specifically looked at him, told him what he needed, and he was like, I don't think we need all that.
No, we don't need all that. Like, okay. And then he comes out with the Gus Bus 2020 hashtag like a month later. I'm just saying. Seriously, though, about one thing back to baseball, though, Brian Matthews, you reported on the bunker that the news on Davis Daniels' elbow was actually pretty good, that they don't think he's going to be a candidate for Tommy John surgery. They think they can just rehab this and get him back on the mound, maybe 2 or 3 weeks?
Yes. They don't have a specific timetable, but they do think it'll be a few weeks. And there was a lot of concern. When they took him out in the second inning of that Friday night start against Georgia Southern, I think they thought that, this could be Tommy John. He could have to, sit out a year, and this is going to blow up his draft stats and all that. But it looks like it's just some soreness. They're going to sit him out and bring him back slowly and hope he can come on here before SEC play, get a little, get a few innings in, and then be ready to go once conference play starts.
Yeah, that would be a huge benefit. I mean, Burns is really good, but Davis Daniels is the number one, so they need him for sure. Changing gears, we'll see. We'll talk about Allen Green just for a minute. I want to mention to those of you who maybe missed the show the other day, I had a chance to visit with Allen Green the other day, and I wrote a couple stories. One about how Allen told Gus that he needs to kind of focus more on the human touch, which is a reference to the Auburn Creed. People in the bunker love it when people bring up the Creed.
Well, they're big fans of the Creed.
They are. I mean, they believe in Auburn and love it. They think George Petrie should be knighted for his poetry, and they basically live by the Creed every single day. I thought it was an interesting story. It was an interesting admission, I guess you could say, by Allen Green that he would talk to the head coach about how he talks to people. I mean, to those of us who interact with Gus a lot, we probably know what he's talking about. Gus can be a little awkward and aloof, and maybe Allen identified that as something he could really improve on to help staff morale or just help various elements of the football operation.
Well, just think about how many times we've talked about it on the rundown, how he has the ability to reach out and connect with people better if he just makes an effort.
Yeah, he's been funnier with me. I'll say that. I mean, he's said some really funny stuff to me in the last few days. So I think maybe he's getting his sense of humor back a little bit. I don't know. But off-season Gus is always different than in-season Gus, right? I mean, we know that. He gets real, yeah, man, he's going to be a guy that helps us down the road. I mean, he's just going to get super, won't say anything. But in off-season, he's better. I just wish he had a chance to talk to the folks more during the off-season. It seems like he doesn't want to do that, But whatever. So Allen Green, other stuff Allen Green talked about getting the Georgia game changed. That was good. That could be a good thing. Auburn has been playing Georgia right up against that Iron Bowl matchup for every year since the early 1900s. So it would be really weird to see Auburn playing Georgia in sometime other than middle to late November. But it looks like that's going to probably go down. It was going to go down in 2023 regardless, because that was the next year that the SEC was going to be changing the schedule, and they would have adjusted at that point. But we think now that there could be changes made. There will be changes made into the 2020 season. So that could be good for Auburn. But a lot of times, man, you hope for something like that to happen, and then weird things happen, and it gets worse. I mean, I'm just saying, think about it from Auburn's perspective.
I think it's good because I don't think cross-division games should take place past October. I think the November should be about you playing LSU or Texas A&M or Alabama for the SEC West Championship.
Yeah.
And then also, if you play Georgia in mid-October or early October, and then you play again the SEC Championship game, I think that's okay. But if you play them late November and then play 2 weeks later or 3 weeks later in the SEC Championship game, I just don't like that. So I think this is better as just across the SEC for every school to be like this.
Yeah. They'll get it worked out over time. But the Auburn situation obviously has been more in the headline because Auburn always had that every other year. You're at Georgia, at Alabama, and I mean, come on, man, that's some seriously heavy lifting, even for Auburn. Yeah. And Auburn doesn't shy away on its schedule. Really, nobody in the West can because it's so good right now. But Auburn, they don't mind the challenge. And Allen was saying the other day he thinks this is going to be the toughest schedule in the entire country next year.
It's brutal.
It is.
It really is brutal. I mean, Auburn could be good and still be, I don't want to say 8-5, but 8-5.
Well,
I mean, 8-5 would probably be a good record against the schedule. I mean, I know people don't want to hear that, but it's a really brutal schedule.
They're going to fire me. 8-5. There's going to be people wanting to fire him for that.
There will be, but he won't be.
Oh, look at you!
Not going to happen.
You're going to be Mr. Soothsayer again, okay? I got you. 8-5. It's going to be the same thing, man. These people are going to be back, and they're going to be they're already really motivated. They're going to be even more motivated. They're jackals, I'm telling you.
I know they will be, but it's still $26 million.
You got that. I do laugh at the bunker every time this comes up, and like Be Mad or me or Benny or whoever says, dude, it's a $30 million buyout. They go, $30 million, who cares? Like, that is a whole wad of money, man. I don't know where you all think Auburn comes up with these $50 million checks. They don't exist.
It's nothing. You want to have a $60 million practice facility and pay a $30 million buyout. I mean, that's only $90 million, JG.
It's only $90 million. That's not that much, really. Come on, Jimmy Rain could write that check tomorrow.
I mean, 4 out of 5 games at Texas A&M, at Florida, at Arkansas, at LSU. Mid-September through the end of October.
Yeah, that's rough.
That's brutal. And then you've got Alabama and Georgia coming to Jordan-Hare. That's great that they're at home, but they're still 2 of the best teams in the country, maybe the 2 best teams in the country.
Yeah.
With experienced quarterbacks who are both going to be Heisman Trophy candidates.
Well, at Auburn, we don't back away. We're here to play football.
But that's a brutal-ass schedule.
Yeah, no doubt. Totally changing the direction here. Oh, also, softball's playing at home this weekend if you guys are interested. It's going to be probably wet and rainy, but if you guys want to go out to the Jane, go for it. Yeah. One thing I want to mention that's totally off the beaten path. So I went to Transylvania University. I've talked about this. You guys know this. I'm a graduate, a proud graduate, a pioneer, as it were. That's where I met my wife. She was a field hockey player. She was a spiteful field hockey player. I will say that. So the dorm at Transy, the girls' dorm, which was called Forer Hall, is in the process of being blown up or taken down. They're going to put something new there. And this is a big deal to the Transylvania University alumni community because a lot of things happen inside Forer Hall because it's kind of the epicenter of campus. And that's obviously where the girls live. But also on the first floor, you've got the mailroom. You got a lot of places where you hang out and watch TV. That's where you eat. All kinds of stuff going on at Forer Hall. We talked about this on the stream before the show that, I mean, I as a person who lived on campus all 4 years at Transylvania University, I did a lot of shenanigans in Forer Hall, both in the residential area and then the hanging out area below. And I feel like that now that the hall has been taken down, anything bad that I did there or failed there doing has now been expunged from the record. Bryan, do you believe in this and do you love it?
Actually, I sort of disagreed with you in the pre-show, but now that I think about it, this reminds me of Mag Hall at Auburn. Now, Mag Hall was the worst on-campus dorm at Auburn when I was there in the 80s.
Like, define worse, like the skankiest girls or like just dingy?
No, just old. It was old in the 80s. It's over there where the current business building is in that area.
All right.
And I guarantee if you put a post on the board saying, give us your worst Mag Hall, memories, it would be epic on the bunker. So somebody needs to start that.
Yeah,
but
we need to do that.
I did have a few experiences at Mag Hall. I did not live there, but I had a few experiences there. So I'm glad to know that's been expunged from my record.
So you did have some failures? Is it fair to characterize them as such?
No, JG, if you make it to Mag Hall, it's all about success. But it may not be the success you put at the top of your list success. You know
I see. Yeah, that was Benny's basic reaction was like, in his world, I'll let you explain this, Benny, but in your world at University of Georgia, once you got to the girls' dorm, there really wasn't a lot of you were already past the negotiation phase, right?
Yeah, I mean, once you're at Brumby Hall, the decision's been made, like a mile away downtown Athens.
Okay. But see, in my situation,
a perfect world.
At 4, you're basically downstairs trying to talk your way upstairs is what's going on. And I wasn't 100%. I'm not going to lie about it. Missed a few. I got my teeth licked one time, but that really happened.
That's weird.
It is weird. I didn't think it was cool as a girl from country Kentucky, and I just would that be a deal breaker for you, Ben, if you were kissing a girl and she licked your teeth?
Totally out on that. I'm out.
I don't know if it would be a deal breaker. It would definitely, there'd have to be a conversation about it, though.
A subsequent conversation?
Yeah, maybe not in the moment, but follow up like, hey, maybe we can cut back on that a little bit.
Yeah,
I'm out.
I wish I'd had the conversation
I don't
before that started. I wish I'd had the conversation before it started because we could have cut that off right away. If I had said like
before we go into this.
Yeah, she had big bangs too. But I mean, a lot of girls did back then. Brian knows what I'm talking about.
I do want this Mag Hall thread to start though. I'm very curious about what
Brian,
happened.
I think Brian's the man to do that. I do. And also, just as a side note, Brian, you are now expunged. Anything that you did,
that's excellent,
is off your record and can't even be spoken about again. And same for me in Fort Hall. Although I did close my wife in Fort Hall, so I don't want to take that off the record. But everything else, forget about that. Moving on to shout-outs, Brian. I know you got at least one. I didn't mean to tread on your turf there. But
well, it was Auburn Tim. That was a glorious, well, I don't know what to call it, edit he did for the rundown little thing. And it was just incredible. Great job, Auburn Tim.
Yeah. Again, it was a screenshot of our live show here. We went with a black screen for Bennie because Bennie wasn't available or was on assignment in other ways, and he put
Maybe he was at one of the dorms closing the deal. Who knows?
No, he wasn't because he was hanging out with Sarah, I'm sure. Oh. And it said "gone napping" as what Auburn Tim had put into Ben's spot there. So I wasn't saying you were napping, Ben. That was just his interpretation of what was going on.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you have any shout-outs, Bennie?
I do want to give a shout out to Harvey Specter and Fishman72 for holding me accountable for not coming to the lunch yesterday, the bunker lunch yesterday. They both made sure to let me know that they were not pleased with the fact that I no-showed the event. So,
yeah, I don't know if you no-showed, you just didn't want to show.
We characterize it a little bit differently, but that's okay.
A lot of the guys there could have kicked your ass, too. I would take Fishman over you. Maybe not Harvey. I'd like to see you and Harvey go at it. Harvey's not a fighter, though, I don't think.
You can set up a little bunker boxing event.
I don't think you're a fighter, really, are you?
No.
No, you're not really. My shout-outs are just going to be the folks that came to the show, came to the lunch yesterday at Soho Social in Homewood, which would include me. Also, Howa. He has numbers on the end of his name, but I don't remember what they are. Howa, Russ47, who fortunately did not kick my ass yesterday, although he could have, and he paid for my meal, so thank you very much for that, bro. Porter, Jeremy, Eagle5 was there, AU89, Aubrey, who I believe is an associate of Brian Matthews, Fishman, Bubby. Everybody loves seeing Bubby. Seaborn, Harvey Specter, New Gus Who Dis, which is a great handle. Stretch Armstrong, of course, special commendation for Stretch for getting that all put together. He's kind of like the point guard of that social occasion, and it's very much appreciated. AU Taxman was there as well. And Powerman phoned in via FaceTime from the airport. An airport, I believe he was in Boston, because he just wanted to be associated with the event, and he couldn't be there because of work. So there you go, Powerman. Good hustle. I don't think I mentioned also, he thinks his name is Tickled One, but I actually call him Tickle Done. Either way, Tickle was there. And he does not remind me of somebody whose name would be Tickle Done. He doesn't remind me of a tickler, really. But he's kind of a tough guy. Looks like Popeye. But whatever. You know, sometimes your names belie what you look like. I don't know. I mean, you don't look like a Ben. Brian looks like a Brian, though. You always be Brian to me, Brian. We'll wrap it up there, guys. It's getting a little saucy up in here. Thank you for listening to our show. We want to give a shout-out, of course, to Voodoo Wing Company for their support of what we do. It's a great place to eat. The folks there are really cool. Michael, when we see him, Jan, Jenna, Marge, the whole crew do an awesome job there. Also, Lynch Toyota of Auburn, if you're looking for a new or used Toyota, that is definitely the spot. Paul Brockwell, of course, as we mention every time on the show, he is the greatest general manager in the history of general managers. Despite being a Florida fan, he's sympathetic to the Auburn name, I will put that way. It's a great spot to go. Those guys know what they're doing. So if you need a car, that is the spot, a vehicle, as it were. Also to our awesome subscribers at auburnsports.com, including all those gentlemen and one lady I just mentioned who went to the lunch yesterday in Homewood. Thank you for your support very much. We appreciate that. God bless you guys for standing behind us and helping us do what we do here at auburnsports.com. We try to be entertaining and informative and correct. And I feel like we're doing pretty well as far as all three go. So thank you. Also a shout-out. I got to mention a late shout-out to Torqued, who jumped on the live stream. And we thank you for your support. He obviously is a big Birmingham Iron fan and ends with the hashtag #ForgeOn. He has a new title, by the way. I don't know if you guys noticed. So if you're not a member of auburnsports.com, you need to be. $8.25 a month gets you access to the greatest message board in the history of the internet. And there's going to be a great thread on there about that dormitory that Bryan mentioned and all the sordid stories that we're going to be hearing from that one. Failures, I'm sure. I'm sure everybody was trying to land 10s, though, right?
The bunker only dates and marries 10s or 12s.
Right. 8.5s at the absolute worst. I saw a really hot chick on TV tonight I've never heard of before. Her name was Kate Walsh. She was on the James Corden show, and I was like, that girl's really hot. And I look her up, and she's a model. Like, no shit, Jay. Good job there. Anyway, guys, we're going to wrap it up there. We'll do a show on the other end of the weekend. We will talk about the Auburn at UK basketball game. Also, we will recap recruiting, possibly with Ben or possibly with Jeffrey Lee. Yeah, we'll do that. So until then, hey, have a great weekend, too. Seriously, try to enjoy it. Until then, keep your feet on the ground and keep reaching for the stars.
Love you guys.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Ben, are you going to be doing recruiting Saturday?
Yes, I'm not exactly sure what the timetable is for everything, but yeah, I will.
Okay. Well, I can handle basketball. I could do the.
Well, I could do the game thread if you like. If you want to do the game story, I could do the game thread, and then after the game, I can just head on over to the complex. I can't imagine guys would be leaving before the end of that basketball game. So,
well, if that changes, just let me know. Then we'll plan it that way.
We don't need reports on every dude either, right?
Yeah, I think what Jeffrey and I will probably do is get as many as we can, and maybe just do a quick quote book, like a put together quote book of like here's the main thing from each of these guys. Just do player nameplates and then a quick quote, and then any stories that we want to do, we may do throughout the week.
Well, we need Zimmerman and JJ Evans.
Yeah, I mean Zimmerman, I don't know that he would commit tomorrow, but they feel like that he's probably going to commit sooner rather than later, but you never know.
A little scoop for the people there on who are still watching on the stream. All right, so stream folks, thanks for being there. We have been streaming for an hour now, although I think only like 58 or 57 minutes were actually viewable. But anyway, thanks for being part for watching. Let's see what we're doing. William Taylor's jumped on here too. I can't really see what he was trying to say, but
how many did we have watching us? Do you know?
I can't see the numbers because it makes my computer would overheat if I did that.
Well, we don't want that to happen.
No, yeah, we're pushing it just doing this. So anyway, guys. To those of you who are watching the stream, thank you for your support of auburnsports.com. And if you're not a member, you need to become one. Dudes, fellas, appreciate it. Benny, no hard feelings over me calling you a young guy earlier. Don't take it the wrong way.
Yeah, no, I don't want you to take it the wrong way either. I mean, I have the utmost respect for people older than me. So,
yeah, it means a lot.
I date an older lady myself.
We're just going to wrap it up there. Thanks, guys.